The morning fog clung to the private hangar at Westbridge Regional Airport like a stubborn memory. Dr. Maya Okonkwo, 72 years old with silver locks pulled back in a simple bun, adjusted her reading glasses as she studied the maintenance report on her tablet. She wore a navy cardigan over a floral dress, comfortable travel clothes that had served her well on countless journeys. What no one at the hangar knew was that Maya was the founder and CEO of Okonkwo Medical Technologies, a multinational corporation worth $3 billion. She preferred it that way. After 5 decades of building her empire from a single pharmacy in Detroit, she'd learned that the most valuable insights came when people didn't know who she was. "Excuse me, ma'am," a sharp voice cut through her concentration. "You can't be standing here." Maya looked up to see a young man in his early 30s, his burgundy blazer emblazoned with the logo of Premier Aviation Services, the company her corporation contracted to manage her fleet. His name tag read Derek Garrison, Operations Manager. His expression carried the particular impatience of someone who believed their authority was being challenged. "I'm waiting for the 9 o'clock flight to Seattle," Maya said calmly, offering a gentle smile. Derek's eyes swept over her appearance with unconcealed dismissal. "The 9 o'clock? That's a private charter. I don't know how you got in here, but this area is restricted to authorized personnel and passengers only." "I am a passenger," Maya replied, her tone still measured and kind. "Right." Derek crossed his arms. "Look, I don't know what you're trying to pull, but that aircraft is reserved for VIP clients only. This isn't public transportation. You probably want the commercial terminal, it's about 2 miles that way." Maya noticed a younger employee, a woman named Rachel whose badge identified her as a flight coordinator, hovering nearby with an uncertain expression. "Derek, maybe we should check the manifest." "I don't need to check anything, Rachel," Derek interrupted. "I know who our clients are, and they certainly don't show up looking like somebody's grandmother wandering around where they don't belong." He turned back to Maya. "Ma'am, I'm going to need you to leave immediately, or I'll have to call security." Maya felt the familiar weight of this moment, one she'd experienced too many times across too many years. She could end this immediately by revealing who she was, but something held her back. She wanted to see how far this would go, what it would reveal. "I assure you, I have every right to be here," Maya said quietly. "Security it is, then." Derek pulled out his radio. "Jenkins, I need you at Hangar 7. We have an unauthorized individual refusing to leave." Within minutes, a security guard arrived, an older man who seemed uncomfortable with the situation. "What's going on here?" "This woman is trespassing in a restricted area and needs to be escorted out," Derek said with finality. The security guard looked at Maya, then at Derek, clearly uncertain. "Ma'am, do you have identification? A boarding pass?" Maya reached into her bag and pulled out her passport and a simple boarding confirmation on her phone, no company logos, just a flight number and seat assignment. Derek barely glanced at it. "Anyone can fake that. Jenkins, remove her from the premises. We have actual passengers arriving soon, and I won't have them subjected to this disruption." "Young man," Maya said, her voice carrying a new edge of steel, "I strongly suggest you verify your passenger list." "I don't take suggestions from trespassers," Derek shot back. "Jenkins?" As the security guard reluctantly stepped forward, a black BMW pulled up to the hangar entrance. Out stepped James Okonkwo, Maya's son and the company's chief operating officer, along with 2 other executives from the Seattle office who were scheduled on the same flight. James's eyes widened as he took in the scene. "Mother? What's happening?" Derek's face shifted through several expressions at once, confusion, then dawning horror. "Your mother," he stammered. "James, it's fine," Maya said, though her eyes remained fixed on Derek. "Mr. Garrison here was just explaining how I don't look like the type of person who belongs on our aircraft." The color drained from Derek's face. "Our aircraft? I don't understand." James stepped forward, his voice cold with controlled anger. This is Dr. Maya Okonkwo, founder and CEO of Okonkwo Medical Technologies, the company that owns this plane, and owns the contract with Premier Aviation. And, if I'm not mistaken, owns about 30% of your parent company's stock. Rachel gasped audibly. Jenkins, the security guard, took several steps back, looking like he wanted to disappear into the floor. Derek's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. Dr. Okonkwo. I had no idea. I thought. You thought what, exactly? Maya asked, her voice quiet but carrying the weight of decades of leadership. What about my appearance told you I couldn't possibly be someone important? Was it my age? My clothing? Or perhaps something else you're not quite willing to say out loud? I'm so sorry, I made a terrible mistake. You made several mistakes, Maya interrupted. You made assumptions based on how someone looked rather than verifying facts. You dismissed your colleague who suggested checking the manifest. You refused to listen when I told you the truth. And you treated another human being with contempt because you thought they had no power to challenge you. Derek looked like he might be sick. Please, Dr. Okonkwo, I never meant. But you did mean it, Maya said, her tone softening slightly. That's the problem. In that moment, you meant every word. You believed I was beneath you, unworthy of basic respect, and you acted accordingly. James interjected, his voice hard, I'll be contacting Premier Aviation's corporate office immediately. This kind of treatment is absolutely unacceptable. Maya raised her hand. James, wait. She turned back to Derek, studying him carefully. The young man was shaking now, his earlier arrogance completely evaporated. Mr. Garrison, how long have you worked in this industry? 4 years, Derek whispered. And how did you get this position? I worked my way up from the ground crew. My manager saw potential in me and gave me a chance. Someone saw past the surface and gave you an opportunity, Maya said. Someone looked beyond whatever snap judgments they might have made and recognized your value. She paused. Do you understand what I'm saying? Derek nodded, tears forming in his eyes. Yes, ma'am. I don't know your story, Mr. Garrison, but I'm going to make an educated guess. You weren't born into privilege. You worked hard to get where you are. Somewhere along the way, you decided that achievement meant you were better than others who hadn't climbed as high. Am I close? Yes, Derek said, his voice breaking. I grew up with nothing. I thought once I made something of myself, I'd earned the right to look down on others the way you feared they once looked down on you. Maya finished gently. That's not how it works. Real success, real power, real authority, they don't come from putting others beneath you. They come from lifting others up. She gestured to the gleaming private jet behind them. I built my company from a single pharmacy in one of Detroit's poorest neighborhoods. I served customers that bigger chains ignored. I hired people that others dismissed as unemployable. I succeeded not by climbing over people, but by creating ladders for others to climb alongside me. Maya took a step closer to Derek, her voice firm but not unkind. I'm going to give you the same thing someone once gave me, a second chance. But understand this, a second chance means nothing if you don't learn from the first mistake. Derek looked shocked. You're not going to have me fired? I'm going to give you a choice, Maya said. You can go back to work today determined to do better, to treat every person who crosses your path with dignity and respect regardless of how they look or what you assume about them. Or you can decide you've learned nothing, and eventually, you'll make this mistake again with someone else who might not be as forgiving. The choice is yours. I choose to do better, Derek said immediately, emphatically. I swear to you, Dr. Okonkwo, I will never make this mistake again. Good. Maya nodded. Then here's what's going to happen. You're going to apologize to Rachel for dismissing her professional judgment. You're going to sit down and review your company's procedures to see where this gap in verification occurred. And you're going to remember this feeling the next time you're tempted to judge someone by their appearance. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. Derek turned to Rachel. Rachel, I'm so sorry. You were right, and I should have listened to you. Rachel nodded, still looking stunned by the entire exchange. Maya turned to James. As for that call to corporate, make it. But not to complain. I want to discuss implementing a comprehensive training program about implicit bias and respectful customer service for all of Premier's staff. This isn't just about one person's mistake. This is about creating systems that prevent these mistakes from happening. James smiled despite himself. Even now, you're finding ways to improve things. That's what leaders do, Maya said. She glanced at her watch. Now, are we going to stand here all morning, or are we going to make it to Seattle on time? As the group moved toward the aircraft, Derek called out, Dr. Okonkwo? Maya turned back. Thank you, he said, his voice thick with emotion. For the second chance. I won't waste it. See that you don't, Maya replied with a slight smile. And Mr. Garrison? The next time someone tells you who they are, believe them. On the flight to Seattle, James sat across from his mother, shaking his head in amazement. You could have ended that situation in 30 seconds. Why did you let it go on so long? Maya looked up from her tablet, where she was already reviewing notes for the Seattle board meeting. Because quick endings don't create lasting change, James. That young man needed to feel the full weight of his mistake, to sit with it, to understand it. Only then could he truly learn from it. You're more patient than I would have been. Patience isn't about being soft, Maya said. It's about being strategic. Derek Garrison will remember this day for the rest of his life. He'll think about it every time he interacts with someone. And that ripple effect, the people he treats better, who in turn treat others better, that's worth more than the temporary satisfaction of watching him get fired. Still, James said, you shouldn't have to teach these lessons. Not at this stage of your career. Not after everything you've accomplished. Maya smiled, but there was a sadness in it. I've been teaching these lessons my entire life, son. When I was the only black woman in my pharmacy school. When I was denied business loans by 7 banks before one finally said yes. When I walked into boardrooms and was mistaken for the secretary. The lesson never ends, the students just change. Doesn't that make you angry? Of course it does, Maya said. But anger alone changes nothing. Anger channeled into action, into education, into building something better, that changes everything. She looked out the window at the clouds below. Your grandmother used to say, you can curse the darkness or light a candle. Every time someone treats me as less than I am, I have a choice. I can let it diminish me, or I can use it as an opportunity to illuminate something in them, and in the systems that shaped them. You're remarkable, James said quietly. No, Maya corrected. I'm just someone who's had a lot of practice turning obstacles into opportunities. And who believes that the measure of a person isn't in how they wield power over others, but in how they use power to transform situations for the better. 3 months later, Maya received an email. It was from Derek Garrison. Dr. Okonkwo. I wanted to update you on the changes at Premier Aviation. The training program you initiated has been implemented company-wide. But more importantly, I wanted to share a personal story. Last week, a young man came to our hangar looking for work. He was rough around the edges, his resume had gaps, and my first instinct was to dismiss him. Then I remembered our encounter. I remembered how you saw me, really saw me, even when I couldn't see you. I sat down with him. I learned about his struggles with homelessness, his determination to rebuild his life, his willingness to work harder than anyone else if given a chance. I hired him. He starts next week as part of our ground crew. I don't know if he'll succeed, but I know he has the same chance someone once gave me. And I know that's because you showed me what real leadership looks like. With deepest gratitude and respect. Derek Garrison. Maya read the email twice, then forwarded it to James with a simple note: "This is what second chances look like." She returned to her work, but allowed herself a small smile. Somewhere in the world, someone else would get an opportunity because one person learned to see past their assumptions. And that person might extend the same grace to another. And on and on. The ripples spread outward, invisible but real, touching shores she would never see. But Maya knew they were there. After all, she'd spent a lifetime creating them.